I know you're probably trying to decide whether or not Albuquerque or Rio Rancho is gonna be a better fit for you. But in today's video, I'm gonna be going over why a lot more people are choosing to live out in Rio Rancho versus Albuquerque. So hang tight, grab your pen and your pad, and let's get into today's video. It's a heavy topic, it's a real one. Choosing to live in Albuquerque or Rio Rancho, you're gonna find that there's a lot of differences in both areas. For one, Rio Rancho is a lot more suburban, it's a lot newer in development, so there's a ton of wide open spaces. And for your history, Rio Rancho didn't become a city until the late 60s, early 70s. Not until Intel came in, really started developing the area and attracting a lot of people from the East Coast and the West Coast to come live here in this brand new city, the city of the vision, right? You are talking about an area that is still relatively pretty new. Now, that doesn't mean that the houses are gonna be like cheap or anything like that. There's a ton of great builds out there in Rio Rancho, and right now, on the average price point, you're looking around under $350,000, where Albuquerque is right at $350,000, just a little bit above that. So you are gonna save a ton of money when you're looking to relocate over there. Plus, when you are looking at new builds, they have so much options out there. You got Hicks Brothers, Pulte, D.R. Horton, Amreston, and then Richmond also building houses out there because Albuquerque's pretty much capped off. There's nowhere else to build within the city. In the grand scheme of things, a new build is gonna cost you around $450,000. A little bit more expensive, but yes, you are gonna get a brand new house, updated amenities with all the modern features, and some of these builders are semi-custom, so you get to personalize it, right? So it's actually pretty cool. Cali and Texas people are gonna love that because they got all these new modern builds out there in Texas and plenty of land to be able to build, that when they come out here to Rio Rancho, they're getting these similar builds for a little bit less. Now, the whole caveat of living in Rio Rancho is that some areas, the taxes are gonna be a little higher. So just be mindful, do your property tax estimates with your broker, and if you're looking for me to help you out, we'll always supply that for you, just so you know how much you're gonna pay on the yearly tax end for your property taxes. Before we get into the topic of why more people are relocating to Rio Rancho versus Albuquerque, I love to hop in real quick just to thank you for stopping by the Living in Albuquerque channel. And if this is your first time tuning in, my name is Eli. Go ahead and hit that subscribe and notification bell down at the bottom here. That way you never miss out on any videos, because there's still a ton of you that watch our channel and are not subscribed. So if you're interested in possibly relocating, learning more about living here, this is the source for you. And if you are looking to relocate down here within the next 6 to 12 months, that number popping up on the screen here is my direct line. And as a licensed broker here in the state of New Mexico, me and my team are ready to help you with that whole potential relocation down here to the Southwest. So call or text me at any time. I am the one that answers all the calls and texts and emails. So if you are looking to get a little bit more information, want some clarity, whatever it is, I'd love to help you out. But let's get back into the video. This room is such a vibe. I understand why my wife chose to make this her home office, right? She works from home and she got this pretty cool view of the backyard to where she can see the kids playing outside. We have this awesome cherry tree in the back that just changes to these awesome colors during the different seasons. And plus these lamps back here are such a vibe. And those right there are actually her chaps from when she used to do mutton busting. So it's awesome to see a little piece of history up in this room, and you know, just the whole vibe being set. What I'm getting to in this second topic is that Rio Rancho is just a vibe. With it continuously growing, it reminds me of Albuquerque about 10 to 15 years ago, when everything really just started to grow and you started to see a lot of things come to the city. It's cool to see that out in Rio Rancho right now, and that's why a lot of people are attracted to it. There's a very popular blog or magazine or whatever out there that has named Rio Rancho one of the top places to live in the United States, and it's because of this whole growing vision. You're starting to see a lot more modern builds, a lot more modern things going out to Rio Rancho, things that we don't even have here in Albuquerque, like shopping centers that are all this whole smart technology thing. You got these smart home living situation communities where everything is right smack dab right there in the neighborhood. I'm talking like a pool, I'm talking like an aquatic center, a gym with a hockey rink in there, a library, and a school within walking distance of one of these prime neighborhoods. Now, what I can see about Rio Rancho is that with all the different things going there, with a lot more opportunity to expand, it's actually becoming a hub for a lot more people that are newcomers, because they're able to purchase a decent house for a decent price in a city where it's only going to get more expensive. I can see Rio Rancho getting way more expensive in the next 10 years than Albuquerque is, and it's just for the simple facts that they're getting all these cool new things, and the people that live within these communities are actually all about it, right? They love the change. So super cool to see that. If you're into a city that's growing and you want to live in a city where you get to be a part of that growth, Rio Rancho is really going to be a nice fit for you. Now, I don't want to make this conversation all about Rio Rancho's growth and expansion and all that, but even with all the construction that they have going on there, it's actually still pretty quiet. In the whole bigger picture, Rio Rancho is still a suburban style of living. So the only people that you're getting out there are the people that actually live in these communities. Now, every so often when the Rio Rancho Event Center has a concert or the WrestleManias in town, you're gonna get a ton of people going over there. But outside of that, on the weekends, just a regular day, the streets are actually gonna be quiet. You're not gonna be dealing with a whole ton of traffic out there, even though they still have a lot of one-lane roads, and they are working on that situation. They actually just broke ground on some type of freeway system to help the residents with the travel into Albuquerque, because there's a high chance that you're gonna be working in Albuquerque even though you live out in Rio Rancho. So with that being said, I see a lot of retirees and families moving out there because it's quieter, it's simpler, even way more slow paced than Albuquerque is, and they actually choose to live outside of the major city because of these reasons. So if you want a simplistic style of living, you want to still be close to outdoor nature because you're going to be about 45 minutes away from Jemez and about another 45 minutes away from the Sandia Mountains, you're not going to be at a loss for getting these great amenities of enjoying the outdoors. And plus they have a ton of off-roading opportunities if you're into that out there in Rio Rancho, just because they still have a ton of open space. So all these people that are relocating because they want simple, quiet, something affordable, they're moving to Rio Rancho for this. Now I'm talking about Rio Rancho like it's gonna just blow up and they're gonna build these skyscrapers and all this stuff. And Rio Rancho does have a downtown, but if I didn't tell you where it's at, you'd totally miss it, because it's like maybe just a culmination of, 3 or 4 big buildings. And you still get all the great views. Like, you're gonna have views of the Sandia Mountains and the sunsets over here on the west, wherever you decide to live out in Rio Rancho, because it sits on a hill. You'll notice it when you're traveling from Albuquerque on Unser that you actually got to go up this hill and then you hit flat, and then the rest of the way into Rio Rancho, you'll see that you just steadily climb into the actual city. Great things about Rio Rancho when it comes to this whole view, right? Because a lot of people really want to come home and see the beautiful Sandia Mountains turn pink in the evening, or see the sunrise come over the mountains in the morning. Whatever your forte is and the landscape of this beautiful state, you are going to get all of that in Rio Rancho, and you're not going to have to worry about this constant noise and this constant thing of buildings getting in the way. Because if you live in like downtown Albuquerque or closer to that valley area, you are going to have some obstructions when it comes to the view. Out in Rio Rancho, you're not going to have that. So it's actually pretty cool to see. What if you still want to be like close to the action? You want to be able to go to the bars in downtown or to all the different events that we have going on here in Albuquerque, and you're still thinking about moving to Rio Rancho because it just makes too much sense. You're really struggling with that. You're thinking about the traffic. You're thinking that it's going to be hard to get into these different events like Balloon Fiesta and all that stuff. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's actually going to be a lot easier than you think, because Rio Rancho is still super close. I know that it may seem like it's far. Now, after a while, you start to think like a local, and any more than a 30-minute drive, you're probably gonna skip out into the next day or until you necessarily have to do it. And that's just our lifestyle, right? Living out in Rio Rancho still is that suburban style living, quieter, simpler, all those things that I just talked about. But you're still gonna be close enough to Albuquerque that if you do work here, it's not gonna be a drag. It's not gonna be like this thing where you're traveling and out in Dallas, like a client that we're helping relocate from an area out there in Dallas, and every time she drives into Dallas, she says that she hates it because she's spending anywhere from an hour to 2 hours in traffic just for a doctor's appointment, or just to go down to some local hardware store or grocery store that she really needs to get something from. It's a pain in the butt. But here in Albuquerque, even through traffic, the max that you're going to be sitting here is about an hour, unless there's like a devastating crash. Then at that point, you're at the crash's mercy. In all reality, you're not going to be having to hassle and deal with the daily things of big city living, but you're still gonna be able to benefit from it. Now, let's say you're moving down here with kids and you're wondering about the school system. Is it good, is it not? And I'm here to tell you that Rio Rancho actually has some of the high-rated schools in the whole state of New Mexico. They have the Rio Rancho High School District and the Cleveland District, and of course, they're only building more. So with all that being said, yes, they do care about their education. They provide good programs and good things for the kids to enjoy after school, during school, whatever it is. You want to keep these kids busy, there's going to be something out there for them, because I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the political view on that. We don't get too much into that, but what I do see is that the communities and the people that live within Rio Rancho really care about this whole family structure. Now, that doesn't negate from the fact that if you don't have kids, you're not going to be able to enjoy it, or that you're going to have kids all over the place and it's just going to be loud. It's just a little bit more structured, if that makes sense. So if you're worried about the type of schools that your kids are going to be going to, I know that in comparison to Albuquerque, they do a lot better, and that's not me, that's all data. You can search that for yourself on the internet. So if you are wondering what the schools are like or which one is gonna best fit you and your kiddo, I can tell you that either choice, whatever schools they go out to, they're gonna be a pretty good fit. Before we close it out, I just wanna give you pretty much the 1,000-foot view kind of comparison of Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Albuquerque is big city, right? Even though it's pretty small in terms of big city. They still have the big city energy here. You're still gonna have traffic, all the different amenities, events, and just that whole general idea of the big city, right? You're gonna have shopping malls and all that stuff. Rio Rancho is working on that. They're still a little bit behind. You're still gonna have to travel into Albuquerque if you're gonna wanna buy clothes or any of that kind of stuff. Here's the caveat to it all. Rio Rancho is a lot more quieter, a lot more simple in living. It still feels like a small town. I was just there yesterday, early in the morning, and the roads were dead. It took me about 20 minutes to go into the middle of Rio Rancho from my house on the west side. It was actually pretty cool. Like just seeing people at the local coffee shops, just really taking their time, going down to the grocery store and just doing the daily tasks. And you can see it in people's faces, right? When they're stressed out. A lot of people in Albuquerque look stressed out, but when you go out to Rio Rancho, the vibe is different. You can just feel it. I don't know, I'm a big energy person. If you're just like me, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Big comparison there is that if you're looking for proximity to like doctors, grocery shopping, just all the different things that you are going to need from a big city, and you don't want to travel 30 to 45 minutes just to do it, you might want to live out in Albuquerque. If you got a doctor's appointment like every other week, or you don't really work in Albuquerque or have anything to do with it, and you're okay with just the essentials and the necessities, then Rio Rancho is going to be just fine. So it's all personal. And we can help you with that whole conversation when you reach out. So if you're really trying to compare one or the other, let's dive deep into it. Talk about your lifestyle, talk about what you're looking for in a city, and talk about what your affordability and budget is in comparison to both cities. I hope that helps you. I know there's a ton of people out there that are wondering, man, they're so close, but what's the difference, right? There's not a whole lot of information out there. And that's why I do these videos, to help you determine whether or not Rio Rancho or Albuquerque is gonna be a better fit. So if you are planning on living somewhere where it's a lot more quieter, a little bit more affordable, great school systems, and just an up-and-coming city, you may want to look into Rio Rancho. But if you want proximity, something that's a little bit more established, you want to be closer to the action without having to deal with the travel of 30 to 45 minutes. And I know some people in these major cities are laughing at me right now because their travel times are just absurd, right? But here in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho, 30 to 45 minutes is just more than enough time in traffic and driving and doing all that back and forth stuff. So whatever's important to you, I can totally help you discover that by getting on a simple call. And as much as I love doing these videos, I would love to help you out with your real estate needs. And that number popping up on the screen here is my direct line. I'm super excited to help you with the entire move. Yes, I genuinely am, because this great state has offered so much to me and my family. I'm sure it could offer a lot to you and yours. So if you are ready, call or text me at any time, because I am the one that answers all the phone calls, all the text messages, and I'd love to chat with you on that potential move. But if you're also not ready and you just want some more information, we do have a free relocation guide down in the description below. Hit that link, download that free relocation guide, get a better idea of to what Albuquerque has to offer for you. That way you can have a better understanding of this whole thing about living in the Southwest. I got a ton of things to do today. As always, we'd love for you to reach out. I'm gonna get going. I hope you have a great weekend. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.